The All England club looked as beautiful as ever. The grass was flawless. Center court was ready. The biggest stars in tennis were still fighting for the Wimbledon crown. Yet something felt completely different. The energy was gone. Just 2 days earlier, every corner of the grounds had been buzzing with excitement. Fans lined up before sunrise. Philippine flags filled the stands. Chants echoed through the historic venue as thousands of voices united behind one name: Alexandra Eala. Now, those same seats looked noticeably quieter. The quarterfinals had arrived. The defending champions were playing. The world's biggest names were still in the draw. But many fans couldn't stop asking the same question: where did the crowd go? Across social media, photos comparing the electric atmosphere during Eala's matches with the quieter scenes that followed spread rapidly. Whether the difference was as dramatic as some claimed or simply reflected changing matchups, one thing was undeniable. Alexandra Eala had become one of the defining stories of Wimbledon. At only 21 years old, the Filipina wasn't expected to dominate headlines. She wasn't the top seed. She wasn't a Grand Slam champion. She wasn't even considered among the tournament favorites when play began. But tennis has always loved unexpected stories. Match after match, Eala displayed fearless tennis against some of the world's best players. Her confidence, composure, and determination captured the imagination of fans around the world. Every victory attracted new supporters. Every interview revealed another reason to admire her. Every appearance created an atmosphere that felt bigger than rankings. Soon, something remarkable happened. People weren't just watching Alexandra Eala because she was winning. They were watching because they felt connected to her journey. For the Philippines, she represented history. For neutral fans, she represented hope. For young athletes everywhere, she represented possibility. That emotional connection transformed her matches into must-watch events. Long before the first serve, spectators gathered outside the courts hoping to secure a seat. Fans proudly waved Philippine flags while cheering after nearly every point. Around the world, millions followed her progress through television broadcasts, streaming platforms, and social media highlights. She wasn't simply playing tennis. She was introducing an entirely new audience to the sport. That kind of impact is incredibly rare. Every generation produces talented players. Only a handful become cultural phenomena before reaching the very top of the rankings. By the second week of Wimbledon, Alexandra Eala was becoming exactly that. But success often raises difficult questions. Could women's tennis build lasting momentum from the excitement surrounding its newest rising star? Or was this extraordinary attention tied to one unforgettable tournament run? Nobody knew the answer. Because as long as Alexandra Eala remained in the draw, the excitement only continued to grow. Every match felt like another chapter in a remarkable story. Every victory inspired millions. And every appearance reminded the tennis world that sometimes the biggest stars aren't created by reputation. They're created by moments. Little did anyone realize. The biggest conversation of the tournament would begin only after Alexandra Eala's Wimbledon journey came to an end. By the second week of Wimbledon, Alexandra Eala had become impossible to ignore. Every morning, the queues outside the All England club seemed a little longer whenever her name appeared on the schedule. Fans arrived before sunrise, hoping to secure a seat for her next match. Philippine flags waved proudly across the grounds, while spectators from dozens of different countries joined in cheering for the young Filipina. It wasn't just support, it was a phenomenon. Commentators began referring to it as the Eala effect. It wasn't based on rankings or trophies. It was built on something far more powerful: emotion. Eala played every point with fearless determination. She celebrated with humility. She thanked her supporters after every match, often spending extra time signing autographs and taking photos long after the cameras had stopped rolling. That authenticity created a connection few athletes ever experience. Fans didn't just admire her tennis. They admired her character. Then came the match that changed everything. Facing one of the tournament's biggest names, Eala produced the performance of her career. She refused to be intimidated by the occasion, matching one brilliant rally with another before delivering a victory that stunned the tennis world. Within minutes, social media exploded. Highlight clips spread across every major platform. Sports networks replayed the biggest points again and again. Suddenly, Alex Eala wasn't just the surprise story of Wimbledon. She had become one of the biggest stories in all of sports. For the Philippines, the moment felt historic. Families stayed awake through the night to watch every point. Public viewing events filled with cheering supporters. Across the country, young tennis players celebrated as if they had won the championship themselves. One remarkable victory had united an entire nation. Inside Wimbledon, officials also noticed something unusual. Whenever Eala played, the atmosphere transformed. The applause became louder. The energy became contagious. Even neutral fans who had arrived to watch other matches found themselves cheering for the fearless 21-year-old who refused to give up on any rally. She wasn't simply winning matches. She was creating moments that people would remember for years. As her incredible run continued, conversations shifted from whether she belonged on the biggest stage to how far she could actually go. Could she reach the quarterfinals? Could she challenge for the title? Could this young Filipina become the next global superstar of women's tennis? Those questions suddenly didn't sound unrealistic. They sounded exciting. But every magical tournament eventually reaches its greatest challenge. For Alex Eala, that challenge arrived in the fourth round against an experienced opponent who had already proven herself on the sport's biggest stages. The pressure was enormous. The expectations were even greater. Millions of fans believed history was about to be made once again. What happened next would become one of the most emotional moments of the entire tournament. Not because of who won, but because of what happened after the final point. After more than 2 hours of relentless tennis, the final point had been played. Alex Eala's remarkable Wimbledon journey had come to an end. The scoreboard belonged to her opponent. But something unexpected happened next. Instead of rushing toward the exits, thousands of spectators remained standing. Then came the applause that it started in one section of center court before spreading throughout the stadium. Within seconds, nearly everyone was on their feet, applauding not just the match they had witnessed, but the young player who had captured their imagination over the previous 2 weeks. Alex Eala paused. She looked around the stadium, smiled, and placed both hands together to form a heart toward the crowd. The response was immediate. The cheers grew even louder. It was a simple gesture, but it perfectly reflected the connection she had built with Wimbledon. She had arrived in London as a promising young talent. She left as one of the tournament's biggest stories. For many fans, the standing ovation wasn't about a defeat.
It was about respect.
Respect for the courage she displayed against some of the world's best players. Respect for the humility she showed after every victory. And respect for the way she carried the hopes of an entire nation without ever losing her smile. Back in the Philippines, emotions were just as powerful. Public viewing events erupted into applause despite the result. Social media filled with messages of pride, gratitude, and encouragement. Thousands of supporters thanked Eala for giving them memories they would never forget. She hadn't won Wimbledon, but she had inspired millions. That achievement cannot be measured by trophies alone. In the days that followed, analysts began discussing something much bigger than one tournament. Had Alex Eala changed the way the tennis world viewed emerging stars? Could one remarkable Wimbledon run introduce an entirely new generation of fans to women's tennis? The questions were impossible to ignore. At just 21 years old, Eala had already shown that rankings don't always define influence. Sometimes, the players who leave the biggest impact are those who make people believe. Believe that impossible dreams can become reality. Believe that hard work can overcome expectations. Believe that greatness can come from places the tennis world has often overlooked. That may become Alex Eala's greatest legacy. Not simply the matches she won, but the people she inspired. As Wimbledon came to a close, one thing had become clear. The tournament had discovered more than a rising star. It had discovered a player capable of connecting with fans across cultures, generations, and continents. The next stop would be the North American hardcourt season. New tournaments, new opponents, new opportunities. And now, The entire tennis world would be watching. Because Wimbledon wasn't the end of Alexandra Eala's story. It was the moment the world realized that the future of women's tennis had gained a powerful new voice. As the final days of Wimbledon unfolded, the spotlight naturally shifted toward the players still competing for the championship. But away from the trophy ceremony. Away from the center court celebrations. One conversation refused to disappear. People were still talking about Alexandra Eala. Sports analysts replayed her biggest moments. Television networks revisited her incredible run. Fans continued sharing highlights across social media, introducing millions of new viewers to the young Filipina who had become the tournament's breakout star. It was remarkable. A player who hadn't reached the final was still dominating headlines.
Why?
Because Eala had achieved something that statistics alone could never explain. She had created an emotional connection with fans. Every tournament produces winners. Very few produce stories that inspire people around the world. Alexandra Eala had done exactly that. Her fearless style of play, calm personality, and unwavering determination reminded many fans why they fell in love with tennis in the first place. She never stopped fighting. She never stopped believing. And, perhaps most importantly, she never stopped smiling. That attitude earned respect from opponents, admiration from legends, and unwavering support from millions of fans. Now, a new challenge awaited. The grass season was over. Next came the North American hardcourt swing, a completely different test. Faster courts, different conditions, an even stronger field of competitors. Every opponent now knew exactly who Alexandra Eala was. There would be no more surprises. Every match would carry greater expectations. Every victory would become harder to earn. But that's how champions are made. Not by one magical tournament, by proving they can perform consistently, regardless of the surface or the pressure. For Eala, Wimbledon wasn't the destination. It was the foundation. She had shown the tennis world she belonged among the elite. Now she had to prove she could stay there. Fans across the Philippines believed she could. Young players who had watched her remarkable journey now dreamed of following the same path. Parents enrolled their children in tennis programs. Coaches spoke about a growing wave of enthusiasm unlike anything they had experienced in years. One player had inspired an entire generation. That impact could last far longer than any single tournament. Years from now, when historians look back at this chapter of Philippine tennis, they may remember Wimbledon 2026 as more than just a Grand Slam. They may remember it as the moment everything changed. The moment a nation discovered a new sporting hero. The moment the world realized that greatness can come from anywhere. Alexandra Eala didn't need to lift the Wimbledon trophy to leave her mark. She had already achieved something extraordinary. She had given millions of people a reason to believe. And as the tour moved toward Canada, Cincinnati, and eventually the US Open, one thing was certain. The tennis world would no longer ask, "Who is Alexandra Eala?" Instead, everyone would be asking a very different question. How far can she go? If Wimbledon was her introduction, the next chapter could be the beginning of something truly unforgettable. Because this story is only just beginning.